It is 6:15 in Douala. Thanks and welcome to join me. I'm Kejang Henry Athimbi. Let's begin with our top stories. Amid rising global displacement, millions of refugees continue to face crushing hardship, from joblessness and discrimination to daunting challenges of reintegration into new societies. But as the world celebrates World Refugees Day, some are defying the odds, sharing inspiring stories of survival and resilience. With just months left before the presidential election, voters' registration in Cameroon remains sluggish, a worrisome trend that political parties and civil society groups say could compromise the credibility of the entire process. And Bamenda's military rescue unit is sharpening its readiness with precision as the 50th firefighting unit is training to raise the bar in discipline. Welcome to the news.
Canal International.
Our respective platforms are open for consultation on Canal International. Welcome to the news. I'm Kejang Henry Atimbi. And with just months left before the presidential election, voters' registration in Cameroon remains very sluggish. And this worrisome trend has been compromised as political parties and civil society organizations are calling for massive registration of voters, else it will compromise the credibility of the entire process. Details with Morindi.
At the Lekam Divisional Office in Vuri, it's a normal working day. Pre-election activities are ongoing, including the updating of the electoral roll and transferring data to local branches. At all these branches, latecomers continue to show up in small numbers, each with their own reasons for the delay. I have been sick and did not have time. I felt a little bit relieved and I asked if I could still register, and I was given a positive response, reason why I had to rush here. My card got damaged. And secondly, I registered here, but I have transferred to another neighborhood. I now live in Peka 21. A noticeable detail, thousands of voter cards already produced are still waiting to be collected. Among those coming in for new registrations are young people, some of whom are accompanied by friends or relatives. My brother encouraged me to come register on the electoral list, and as a Cameroonian, I think it's my obligation to meet up to my civic responsibility. Meanwhile, Elekam is mapping out polling stations as part of election preparation. As of last counts on April 30, 2025, Ruri Division had already registered 54,886 new voters. Asked why they waited until the last minute, many said they feared being caught off guard by a presidential decree convening the electorate, an act that would officially close the registration period and leave them excluded from the next election.
Thanks very much, Morindi. And meantime, political parties are equally ramping up efforts to make sure that grassroots are registered for the presidential election. Now, while some political parties are re-energizing their bases, others are counting the increaseness on the widespread concerns on social media. Ambo Gladys takes a look on how some political parties are ramping up voters' registration across the country.
While celebrating its 35th anniversary recently, the Social Democratic Front Party, the SDF, seized the opportunity to mobilize supporters and the general public to the grassroots level to register and be ready to vote in the October 2025 presidential election. SDF officials say voter registration remains a top priority as it forms the foundation for any credible democratic process.
Our national chairman has recently conducted an important delegation. We have district branches of Elekam. They are too far at a certain zone from the electors. They have to go through more than 30 kilometers for someone to be registered at the district electoral center. But we want them, we encourage them to go, to fight, to accept, and to go through that 30 kilometers, to go and be registered, to make sure that they have their ID card, they have their electoral card.
Meanwhile, the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, says it has maintained consistent efforts over the years to encourage voters' registration across the country. Party representatives add that the push is ongoing and constitutes part of a broader strategy to strengthen citizen participation in national decision-making.
Many Cameroonians show little interest in politics, and we can't force them. Our role is to remind them that their voice matters and to keep encouraging them. Our party, through its well-structured organs from the Central Committee to regional sections, actively mobilizes citizens to register.
But it's a different approach for the Alliance of Progressive Forces, the APF. The party has scaled down active mobilization campaigns, citing what it calls a growing sense of civic responsibility among Cameroonians.
Since the last legislative elections, we have stopped mobilizing people to register. Many remain reluctant despite explanations. However, some are now realizing that staying away doesn't solve problems and are becoming more aware of their civic role.
Despite these efforts, a major obstacle remains the lack of national identity cards, which are required for voter registration. Thousands of eligible Cameroonians are unable to register due to delays and bottlenecks in identity cards issuance, a challenge that could disenfranchise large segments of the population if left unresolved.
And on the sidelines of the presidential election, veteran journalist Eric Chinje has called on the media in Cameroon to take the responsible opinions and not be bystanders. Beatrice Ngamo.
Is to be at the forefront of elections matter as this 2025. The country, from all indication, is about to experience one of the most significant moments in its history, the presidential elections. He thus challenged them to shape public.
The leader who's going to take us there. How do we find that person? There are all kinds of candidates, but do they have a profile? Do they have what it takes to lead us out? And that's the media who's going to help us find the answer to that question. It is us. It is those of us in the media who will have to help society find the leaders that it deserves to have.
Some media professionals, June 19th, gathered in Yaoundé to better understand the civic-minded thinking promoted by Eric Chinje as they focus on educating the public. What will guide their decision-making at that moment will be the competence and capabilities of each candidate, their commitment to solving their insight, propose few solutions that work without bias.
For change, and the nation stands on a critical crossroads and with future in it in Cameroon. Ntaruke Divine.
In a couple of months, Cameroonians will head to the polls in an election that could define the future of the country. As President Paul Biya, now 91, faces the possibility of seeking another term, the political landscape is alive with energy and uncertainty. His supporters, some urging him to continue leading, while others with their own ambitions at play are driving a growing sense of anticipation. With Cameroon standing at a crucial crossroads, the question flapping many lips is, what's next for the nation? For over 4 decades, President Biya has steered Cameroon through periods of change, conflict and economic transformation, even though many question the effectiveness of his guidance. And as the election nears, those concerns are growing louder and scrutiny of his administration is reaching new heights. The central issue now is whether President Biya will extend his rule or whether the country will turn toward a new era, one that could potentially bring significant change. Meanwhile, the political landscape is becoming even more volatile, with what some describe as political gamblers and gangsters flirts. One strong critics of Biya are now shifting their allegiance to him. While there is no legal barrier to such endorsements, the motivations behind these shifts are causing a stir. Many wonder whether these political maneuvers are motivated by personal interests, including financial rewards, access to power, or high-profile government roles, rather than genuine conviction, raising serious questions about the integrity of those involved. As the election approaches, one thing becomes increasingly clear. These alliances could either bolster the president's legacy or potentially lead to unforeseen consequences. Some observers note that Cameroon stands at a crossroads with its future uncertain, and the expected election is shaping up to be a defining moment for the country, and only time will tell which path the nation will take.
And of course, refugees are equally taking a path amid rising global displacements of millions across the world who are facing hardship, from joblessness to discrimination and, of course, daunting challenges of reintegration into new societies. But as the world celebrates World Refugee Day, some are defying the odds, sharing inspiring stories of success and resilience. Morindi.
After escaping war and violence in his native Liberia in 2020, Richards has lived in Cameroon as a refugee for over 10 years. Yet despite the decades of hope, he says finding a stable job remains extremely difficult.
It is not easy for refugees to get a real emploi, a real job, I can say that. The condition, also economical condition of the country, it is not easy.
Yakubu Bitrus, a refugee from Nigeria, has a different story. With the help of friends and support from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, he managed to pursue his education and today stands as a university lecturer, a symbol of resilience and success.
I left Cameroon in 2014 and I started my ordinary level in the same year. When I graduated, I went to the advanced level. After the advanced level, I was awarded a scholarship due to my performance to study in Douala. And I have a BSc today in medical laboratory science with first degree honor. Today I'm a lecturer.
While some have managed to integrate, for many others, life remains tough. Women in particular face multiple hardship, struggling to maintain their health, pay rent, and ensure their children go to school. One woman tearfully decries the poor treatment she receives at hospitals, blaming it on her refugee status.
On a la scolarité des enfants, on a aussi la nourriture pour donner à nos enfants. Ce n'est pas facile pour nous les réfugiés.
Another major concern is expected closure of the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees Douala office. Refugees fear that without this vital support, their lives may spiral further into hardship.
Et dommage, bientôt HF va fermer, on va aller où?
At a ceremony in Douala, Cameroon, June 20, to mark World Refugee Day, alarming statistics were shared. Globally, over 122 million people are displaced. In Douala alone, there are more than 28,000 refugees. In March 2025 alone, 400 individuals sought asylum in Cameroon.
They have many challenges, access to basic human rights, for example, access to health. The government helps, but sometimes the needs are more. So we try together to answer to their needs.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees should say only strong collaboration between governments and other stakeholders can help improve refugee conditions in the country.
Well, thanks very much, Morindi. And we move over to the northwest region, precisely in Bamenda, where the military rescue unit is sharpening its readiness with precision as some 50 firefighters were trained to raise the bar in discipline. And of course, this was a push from their commander, as we are hearing from our Northwest Chief Correspondent, Annie Collins, and Cynthia Latte.
Though it has taken long that Bamenda and its environs had a major disaster, those in charge of intervening when they do occur have not been sleeping. According to prescriptions from hierarchy, the Army Rescue Unit carries out 3 professional rehearsal sessions a week.
Tel, matricule tel, à vos ordres, commandant.
To ensure that such practical sessions are meticulously done, the commander of the 50th Firefighting Unit of the 5th Joint Military Region, Zanga Frank, paid control and evaluated it to the Bamenda Center on Thursday, June 19. From sport work to bodybuilding, proper use of equipment to simulation of a disaster, the over 50-man staff were each evaluated and rated on individual basis.
Is the not and what to ameliorate or want to change. This is also to know the new vehicle that we have acquired from our general president have given to our general to give us to see how they are taking care of it and to know the level of the management of the materials that are contained inside the vehicles.
A service that gives a human face to the military. The public has been called upon to quickly call the toll-free number 118 at the site of any disaster.
Well, thanks very much. Tomorrow is World Music Day, and of course, this commemoration will take place under the theme Act Together. Cynthia Latte takes us through the journey of the World Music Day.
The quest for originality is pushing Cameroonian urban artists to tap into traditional sounds. More and more, they are drawing inspirations from homegrown music to craft something fresh, something proudly local. Observers say the trend is helping these artists stand out in the saturated markets.
It's
a sort of mental renaissance, like what we saw in the 1970s with the Black is Beauty movement in the USA. Africans abroad began connecting with their roots through fashion, music, culture. We may listen to foreign music, but it's when we hear Makossa or Bensikin that we truly recognize ourselves. This return to roots is also spotlighting who made elder generation dance. The fusion is gradually exporting Cameroon's culture to new frontiers. It's a positive move, and I hope it continues. You know, we are Africans, connecting with those who came before us. It builds link between generations and strengthens the music industry. The new sounds are far from copies of the past. Makossa, Bensikin, Bikutsi, when fused with urban rhythms, creates something entirely new.
Ça permet de repositionner notre musique sur le plan.
It helps reposition our music both at home and abroad. We were once getting lost in borrowed sounds. Now we are reclaiming the space by exporting local music that's just as enjoyable. It's a cultural strategy.
On salue tous les artistes d'ailleurs qui font cet art.
Names like Chris M, Sissou, Elanay, Salatiel, Septo, Fibil, and Locker are leading this new wave, adding a uniquely Cameroonian flavor to urban music.
Thanks very much, Cynthia Latte. And of course, there is a wonderful lineup for World Music Day on Canal International. Of course, we are going to have Sissou and many others who will be part of this celebration. We want to thank you very much for being there with us. I've been Kejang Henry Atibe, wishing you a wonderful weekend ahead. Good day.